Okay, so now taking what we've learned with Maya and Arnold and applying materials and shaders, right? Now we're going to go a little bit more deeper into some of the Arnold properties when it comes to creating shaders. So what I've shown you in the past typically is if you wanted to assign a material to an object, let's just say this fire hydrant, you would right click, you could come down to assign new material, and here's where you would pick your shaders that you would use. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do things in Maya. If you've had any Photoshop experience, then it's the same. It's like there's a bunch of different ways to do things. And what I want to show you now is the hyper shader and another way that you can go about doing this. So I provided for you all this sample image. This is a free Maya file that I found that we can all kind of work on and play around with together. So let's say, we have all of our modeling finished and now we want to render with Arnold shaders. Now, Arnold shaders are the Arnold rendering engine is what you see like Pixar, Industrial Light and Magic, all the special effects that you can think of in, major blockbuster movies. It's the Arnold renderer that's used in that, right? Okay? So let's say we want to now use the hyper shader to create materials. So instead of choosing the object and then assigning the material, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of work in reverse here. So this little button up here, this is the hypershade window. So we're going to click on this, and this is going to open up a new, and I'll kind of go over this, right? This is going to open up a new window setting. And what this shows you is this shows you everything in your scene. This shows you all the materials. This shows you all the textures, any of the lights that you have set up. I don't have any lights set up yet. It shows you all the cameras, right? But actually for lights, let me go ahead and let me just do this real quick actually. I'm going to close the hypershade window. I'm actually just going to create a light here. I'm going to create a kind of a directional light. Okay, and this is going to come from up above. Okay, sorry, I should have just done this beforehand, but so I'm going to create a directional light kind of above, all right? Yeah, something like that, okay? So let me come back to my hypershade window, and now you'll see that I do in fact have that light there, okay? So what we're gonna do, so this shows you everything in your scene. This opens up that material window where you can assign things, just like when we assign materials to. Right here, when you start building shaders, you'll see as we do this, like the nodes, it'll show all the connected nodes that are connected to each other and all the different properties to each. And then here we have a kind of a material like preview window where we can see how the material is going to affect the object, right? And for example, right? So if I click on a standard shader here, it just shows there's defaults here, things that you can pick, like a shader ball or teapot. I kind of just leave it on the teapot. And here you can tumble and scroll around and do the same thing. So any material shader that you create, this will just show you kind of a default, like what that shader you're building would look like, right? How it would reflect light, how it would absorb light. And this is like, I mean, this gets intense, right? Maya shaders are one thing, but Arnold shaders are next level. Um, so let's say what we're gonna do here is we're gonna create a material. We're gonna create a material. Let's say, okay, let's use this coffee cup, right? We can see this coffee cup has the cup, the little heat shield thing, the plastic lid. So instead of applying the shaders we're going to use the hypershade window. So let me bring this back in here. So for Arnold shaders, right, we're going to come into here and you're going to see, texture light shader. We're going to just click on shader. You can drop this down too if you want to see more. Click on surface. So these are all the different Arnold shaders, and they're all prefaced with this AI blank, AI whatever, AI whatever. The only one that I'm going to go over is this AI standard surface because this is a super, super versatile surface that can essentially model or essentially uh, replicate at any surface that you can think of. It's highly versatile. All these other ones, I mean, there's more. There's an advanced course in Maya that you guys can take after this that will go more into things like this. But for our purposes, all you really need to know is this standard surface. And So this shows you the node, this shows you what it's connected to, and then here's all the ways that you can affect this material, right? And I'll just go over some of these briefly. Like I said, some of these are things that you'll learn in a more advanced class, but so weight, this is, you don't really need to change this. This is determining how much light is going to be reflected back. Generally, all of these surfaces, right, you're just going to leave that to 1. Color, this is where you can, pick the color of whatever object is being modeled or material is applied to. Diffuse roughness, this is how much light is being scattered. So depending on the surface of the material that you're using, right, generally the darker this, the higher this number, right, the darker that's going to go, right? This is just how much light is being scattered away. Okay, metalness is how reflective that object is. I mean, this is pretty easy, right? That's straightforward. Things like specular, this is your highlights essentially. Again, no real change here. The weight is just the strength of that highlight. If you have objects that are reflecting light off of each other, this is where you would, you could change those reflections or those highlights to be, a different color. Roughness is how smooth that surface is, right? Generally, the higher the number, the more matte that object is going to be, right? And again, some of these other things are going to be things that are gone over in a more advanced class. Transmission is the transparency of the object. So if you're working with glass, for example, this is where you would work with this, right? Transmission. And again, all of these different categories, it's like, I mean, it's just mind blowing how much Maya can do and just how much control you have. Okay. So luckily for you guys though, we have, so it's good to, kind of learn these, what they do. But again, so for the purposes of our class, we are lucky because Maya, the Arnold engine, has some nice presets here. And this means that you can replace whatever you've done here. You can find, if you're trying to model, chrome or, things like copper, that's going to ask you, do you want to replace the material or blend it, right? So we're just going to replace. So then it changes, it goes through, like you'll see all of the, it changes everything that it needs to give you its best representation of copper, right? And you can go through these and see, like if we want to do glass, for example, let's replace. Then it gives us glass. Pretty cool, huh? Blood, let's see what blood looks like, right? So yeah, I would say for the purposes of our class, I mean, definitely experiment and play around and build your own. Again, all built off of this AI or Arnold standard surface. But I feel like the presets here are pretty good, right? I mean, some, I don't know if that really reads as water to me, but, I think, again, yeah, for the purposes of what we're doing, ooh, honey, yeah, that's pretty fantastic right there. That's pretty good. So let's see if there's a preset for this coffee cup that we're gonna do. So, I don't see a thin plastic. Okay, maybe plastic, or no, let's say paper. Okay, so I don't see anything paper, but I'm guessing, some of these. Okay, so that, that could maybe pass as paper, if we wanted to, I don't know, if we wanted to make that a little bit rougher, right? Make that a little bit more flat matte again. So, and then I'm going to name this so a paper cup, okay? So we've created a material for this paper cup, okay? And then now I'm going to create another one. So I'm going to come to AI standard surface, okay? And now I'm going to rename this, let's do plastic lid. Oh, no space. Plastic lid. And let me set a preset of, let's do plastic right here. Okay, I'll change this. Oh, let me come up here. I'll change the color to white. going on here? Okay, change that to white. And then, I don't know, I'll increase some of the metalness here just to try to make it a little bit shinier. I'll take this roughness down a little bit. So you can get even like a polished surface, right? You see how low that, put that roughness all the way down, metalness all the way up. That's how you get a clear, I mean, that's a mirror essentially. But let's make that a little bit less because I want that plastic to be a little bit shiny. Are coffee cup lids shiny? No, they're not shiny. They're matte. What am I thinking? I'm gonna give it a little bit of shine. Okay, and then I'll create one more standard surface, and we'll call this the, what is that called? The heat shield, AI heat shield. I don't know. Oops. And then here we'll try to find something dull, like I don't know, clay. We'll change this to a brownish color. Something like that. And then I'm going to take this roughness, oh no, up. Okay, so I'm doing this very quickly, but here's, and then so there's different ways that we can do this. So once I've got my materials created, sorry, I had to pause it there. I messed up my window a little bit. Just for reference, if you ever mess anything up and things get out of place and you lose something, or one of these widgets gets expanded or put somewhere, you can always just come up to workspace here and then come down to reset current workspace. That'll take you back to defaults. Okay, so I'm going to open the hypershader back up and continue where we left off. So I was saying how you can apply these materials once you've made them. So you can do a couple of different ways. You can simply just do a drag and drop, right? So say we have, here's that paper heat shield thing. So the paper heat shield, if I just click the middle mouse button, I can just click and drag that out and drop it right on, right? Easy enough, right? I could also do the same thing that we had done before, where I hold down here, I can go down to assign existing material, and here was that paper cup, right? So that applies there. And then here's the lid, same thing. You can do it like you can click and drag and drop, but this is just, like I said, there's a bunch of different ways to do this. So I'm just gonna do assign existing material and then plastic lid, okay? So pretty good. I mean, not a bad, right? And then I can close this. So not a bad way to go about it, right? But then we can also do the same thing that we've learned before, is where we can right click and then we can assign new material. And here we're going to do Arnold Shader, and we're going to do your standard surface here. So this brings up, right, all the properties that we were before. We can mess with all these things, but again, if you want even more control, that's when you're going to want to come up to the hypershader and then find the material that we just created. So AI standard, and we'll name this fire hydrant. Okay. And then we'll come through the presets here, and I don't know, what is a brushed metal? No. Well, not really chrome either. Let's try chrome, and we'll replace, but we'll play with some of the settings here. So we'll make it a yellow fire hydrant. Okay, and then remember the metalness, right? We'll take that down. We'll take that down a bit. Roughness will increase. Maybe a little bit more metalness. Maybe something like that. Okay. So because I had assigned it that way, it was updating things in real time because I assigned it to that. I assigned it that AI shader, and then I opened the hypershade, and then I started manipulating it here, right? So same thing. I'll click on. So all these little screws are one object. I'm gonna assign new material, and we'll do Arnold shader, standard surface. Okay, and then here, we'll call these nuts and bolts. Okay, and here I'll do brushed metal here. Okay, and then we can see if I move this window out of the way, if I come back here, okay, so let's take a look at our preview here. So right now, right, I hit 7, so I'm still in the viewport, but let's see what this looks like when we do a little render preview here. So obviously the more objects you have, right, this rendering is going to take a little bit longer. Okay, so some of you may have already finished your project, but I mean, if you haven't, and if you want to create some more realistic textures, let's just say you did have glass objects and you weren't sure how to do that, or you want to get some mirrored, highly polished objects, go ahead and take the week, and use some of these hypershade techniques. And yes, I'm not going to give you any exercise this week, just because I'd rather have you put all that extra time into modeling your room. So no little side exercise to do this week, but yeah, let's just focus our energy on that room. But this is pretty cool, right? I mean, a great way to just build realistic textures and yeah, getting more control. Okay, so I'll stop this here, and then I'll do one more video on what we call unwrapping, right? So if you want to apply a surface texture around an object like a box or a spherical object, so I'll do that in the next video here.